Thank you. Great pleasure to be able to spend a couple of minutes and tell you about the organization that I work for. I will preface this by saying I am not a scientist. I just drive the boat. Raincoast is a nonprofit conservation organization. We've been operating on the BC coast for about 30 years. We are a science-based organization. We have a lab at the University of Victoria. Where's the remote? And we set up a variety of infrastructure to do some of our own research in the remote areas. Most of the areas that we work are the central and north coast of British Columbia. This is our research vessel Achiever. Was built and set up, or rebuilt and set up for coastal research, Coast Guard certified sailing vessel. We're able to work for weeks at a time in some of the most remote locations on the coast and keep people very comfortable. So it was part of developing our infrastructure to access these really remote areas of the coast and to actually stay in those areas and work in those areas. Beautifully laid out for working, got lots of room for computers for working, and we sleep about, well, typically with gear we take about 8 people. We're certified for 12, but we take about 8 people on board. We've done a whole variety of different types of work over the years. We've worked very closely with Andrew a number of times doing the sea lion census in British Columbia and up into the very bottom of southeast Alaska. We've worked in Haida Gwaii on a variety of film projects on the coast. We've done big projects with BBC, National Geographic. This one was one of 3 we did with NHK, the Japanese film company. So the vessel's really adaptable, and we do a lot of different types of work all up and down the coast. Initially, when we got the vessel, we had our own marine mammal coordinator and our own marine mammal research program. We did some amazing work with line transect surveys in the entire Hecate Basin. We did that over a period of about 5 years, putting on tens of thousands of miles of track line. An amazing database collected in that time period. As I mentioned, we now have a lab at the University of Victoria. It's the Hakai Raincoast Applied Conservation Lab. We have a whole fleet of wonderful, amazing grad students. Most of our work has, unfortunately for me, moved into the terrestrial realm. And so we do a lot of work on bears and wolves and salmon. One of the things that has really evolved at Raincoast is our collaboration and coordination with a lot of the First Nations on the coast. The projects, the terrestrial projects that we work on have been a real, very, very equal collaboration with First Nations on the coast. It is a changing landscape doing research on the coast, and one of the things that I'm proudest of is I think that we're probably the only organization that has research protocols with 5 of the Central Coast and North Coast First Nations. It's going to be increasingly important, and it's one of the things that gives us a tremendous capacity to do the research on the coast. As I mentioned, a lot of our work is this type of marine mammal. And unfortunately for me, they don't really need Achiever to study these animals. So one of the things I'm here to do is like John, do a shameless commercial for our own capacity, our own abilities to do this kind of work. Number one, on a simple charter basis, we've worked very consistently with Andrew on the sea lion censuses. We've worked with John consistently for about 4 years, doing amazing stuff with fin whales. And it's one of the things that we So this is what I'd really much rather be doing than a lot of the terrestrial work. So one of the things that I'm asking for people to do today is just, if you have ideas, questions that you want to answer, questions that you really want the ability, the infrastructure to get out into these places. So this is a dive tag, a suction dive tag. This is one of about 300 attempts where we did not get a suction tag on a fin whale. There were a couple where we did, but I wanted to just illustrate the capacity not just of the infrastructure of the vessel that we have, but also just Raincoast's own capacity. Within the lab, we have a couple of people here, Eva and Aaron Rechsteiner, who are very well known in the marine mammal community here, doing postgraduate work with us in collaboration with the biological station. And so there is opportunities for collaboration. There's fantastic opportunities for study. We are a registered nonprofit charity, and so we have some abilities. We're also an insert partner, which is slightly different now, I understand. But we do have the ability to look at taking on ideas and moving them forward right through both the lab and also through the infrastructure that we have. Possibly more important, the relationships that we have with the First Nations peoples on the coast. Thanks very much.
Any questions for Brian? Not. Oops, a question up there.